All right, going live now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off. I thought it
Oh
was
my
going. I wonder
goodness.
if our internet is slow or something.
It is definitely slow because we have it.
Going live now. 5, 4, 3. Okay, see, it did my countdown, so we're on. Welcome back, those of you joining us on YouTube. If this is the first time you've joined us, I'm Carlos, and this is my gorgeous, beautiful bride, Chantel.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning.
And we are from Epic Your Life, from single to married, creating extraordinary. That's our goal in our hearts, is to help you have amazing relationship skills. So if you're looking for relationship skills, you're in the right place. We do marriage mastery, and mastery is a powerful process of growth and continued growth. But this morning is Coffee Connect, and it is unscripted, just a time of just connection for us.
Yeah.
And going over stuff we normally go over alone, but we thought, well, let's allow people to plug in and check it out and join us live. So we've been busy traveling. I've been traveling. Chantel's been traveling. She was home over the weekend, but no, you were traveling. Actually, I take that back, for Hazel's volleyball tournament. So we weren't here Tuesday. It was just I was traveling. I was out of town, and
Yeah, there's more to it.
yeah, there was a lot of emotions going on. How are we going to talk about that today? All right. All right. All right.
Get it over with.
Let's get it over with.
Um, we had some much needed ranch therapy yesterday, and look at my arm. Y'all see that? So if you see me itching, I have about a gazillion bug bites that I'm contending with. Woo. And good times. So yeah, just to give you guys an update, when Carlos and I were in Tampa, you know, gosh, not not through the last week, the week before, and oh, what a whirlwind. So
We knew May was busy, right?
we knew May was busy.
We're only home one weekend out of May or something like that, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because of tournaments, because of travel with Kaufman's and a retreat, and a lot of stuff. Our
Our
anniversary
anniversary.
trip, that's this weekend.
So anyways, we were in Florida, and my sister and brother-in-law kind of, take care of the ranch here on the home front while we're gone. And so, we're dealing with some things with my mom is having some health issues that having to address. So there was Sunday was, my sister's messaging us, a lot of that kind of stuff. And then Monday, she sends me a message that Kona, our family dog, um, is not okay. She's like, this is not normal. Something's not right. I'm really worried about her. She wasn't getting up, but then our brother-in-law Jay would be like, oh, but she just ran out the gate chasing something. And um so there was a little bit of like, is she okay? Is she not? Is she just, did she just run really hard and then she's sore? Because that happens, right?
She was 70 in dog years, so she
Yeah,
had her
she
10.
just turned 10.
Mhm.
Legitimately, I I felt like she had two, good years left, and just took her to the vet about a month ago for some updated shots and checking in, and she was good, right? As far as we knew. So anyways, we came home. She greeted us at the door with her kind of excitement, and we went upstairs to go to bed, and Carlos laid on the floor and she laid on the floor with him, and he was like,
Gave me her normal love and kisses, and
but he felt her belly and was like, does her belly feel a little bit swollen? And I so then I went and I kind of examined her a little bit and she jumped back slightly. And she's a pit bull, so if any of you are familiar with pit bulls, they do what's called a pit fit, which means they like get playful, right? They do this jump back, stare at you, and then they run around and do a bunch of zoomies. So that's a normal activity. So in that moment, both Carlos and I were like, was that her being playful or did that hurt? Right. So then I stood back further and called her to me. And then she came and I was able to like fully examine her body, pull all her limbs out, examine her stomach and stuff. And she didn't wince, she didn't move. She kissed me, she gave me a good lick and so I was like, well, I don't feel anything, you know what I mean? And then she jumped on the bed,
Her bed.
her bed like normal. And then the next morning she came and got on the couch with us while we did our Epic 30 and like normal. And then we did our Coffee Connect, which was a really awesome one. Uh, if you
Yeah, a
haven't seen
week
it.
ago. This Thursday.
We came out and then Carlos went to get on an appointment and he noticed that she was laying on the floor, not on her bed, which was right there. And tried to get her up and
Well, I petted her at first and kind of like, hey, baby, and then she just, as I was petting her, it's almost like she wanted to let me know that something was really bad wrong. Because while she was laying there, I just saw a puddle of pee start to form under her, and she didn't move. And she'd never done that before, so I knew something was really bad off, something was really wrong. And so I yelled for Chantel and I said, she's not moving, she's not coming. When I say treat, do you want to treat? Like she always gets up when I say that, like no matter what, she gets that word. And so I told Chantel, grab a blanket, and there was just like seriously a big, huge puddle of urine. And so we just put her in the blanket and carried her out to the truck. And yeah, we knew we needed to take her to the emergency vet visit. So we took her about 20 minutes away to Rutledge, or not Rutledge, excuse me, Madison.
so we got there and thankfully the vet had finished all his surgeries for that morning, but so they took her right back and they drew blood and discovered that her abdomen was full of blood. And the only way to determine why would be to open her up. And so we chose to do that. So she essentially went right into surgery and it was yeah, I went through my phone and I found a picture of her to post on Facebook, just kind of asking for prayers. There's so many people. This dog has been with us um 10 years. She came to us at a really crucial time in our lives, and we'll talk more about that later, but um 10 years. And so I'm looking through photos, and as soon as we've had retreats at our home, she's been a part of so many people who have lived with us. Their dogs have loved Kona. I mean, she's helped people with their dog fears, especially being a pit bull. I mean, she's just really was the most amazing dog. And so, we're sitting there and I'm looking through these pictures and I just lost it. And I felt her leave. I felt her leave. I said to Carlos, like, I feel like she's done. Like I felt it
Mhm.
in the moment. And, sure enough, the vet came in and said that she had died on the table. And yeah, we lost it. I mean, this was a really really tragic uh loss for us, and we have been in and out of emotional state for the last week. Let's just put it that way.
Mhm.
Just kind of navigating what that looks like, what life looks like now with, I mean, sitting at our kitchen table, she's not pushing our legs around or, you know, doing our Epic 30 and having her at our feet. Then Carlos went out of town for the weekend, and so then I was faced with my habit of when he's out of town, she sleeps with me in my bed.
Mhm.
And so,
Same when Chantel's out of town. She just has that spot right next to us, right? Whenever one of us is out of town, she would always just snuggle with us.
and then watching, and they've gotten so close to her and Michelle and Jay and just we're all just experiencing our days and times of mourning and grieving, and it's pretty wild. So it's been our week. Yesterday we definitely oh we got a so the day that she passed away, we were able to bring her home and bury her on the property. And the spot that I chose, we can see from my mom's house, our house, and from our fire pit area. And so Carlos and I went to a nursery and picked out a magnolia tree that represents pure love and fidelity. And so we felt like that was a good representation of Kona and her life. And
Marked her
so
grave with that tree.
and so yesterday we picked the tree up and it's beautiful. And I'll post a picture um in school.
Huge, big, huge tree.
We had our son who lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, pick it out. And so he got to be a part of that. I mean, these kids grew up with her. And so forgive us for, things that we haven't done, last Coffee Connect, and we're navigating. We're navigating through what that looks like, what life is like, at this point. So
Yeah, and when you have a loss, human, animal, I know a lot of people probably have different opinions on this stuff. And I think about what makes someone, or like people describe animals, something, you got someone for human, something. What makes it more special?
or what makes it so hard.
Yeah, why is it so hard? And I recognize it has to do with time. 10 years isn't that long, right? It's not. Um, it's short in the span of a human life, average life 70 years old, I think it is, or 60 something years old. But point being, 70 years old, I think is the average. So that's not very long. And you can have what, probably 6 or 7 dogs in your lifetime. But I realize it is time and the constant connection. That's what we do here. Is we're all about connection and relationship. And she was the constant. We were thinking about this for all of us, as far as Hazel and Chantel and I, and even Mateo. So we got her at a time. And we talk about releasing so we can receive the news. So I know something new and powerful is we're giving birth to here for sure. It's a lot of releasing going on in a lot of lives, right? When you are aware of it, we're releasing our washing machine too.
Oh yeah, our washing machine went out while we were in
Yeah,
Tampa.
yeah, it's so many different things. Um, it was 10 years ago. It's weird to think about it. it was 10 years ago. I was in a partnership with a man, uh, such a man with a beautiful heart, spirit. We met through a mutual friend. He was attending like their Bible study or something like that, I think, and they met. And she's like, "You need to meet this guy. He's got a couple businesses, business minded. I think he'll be awesome to connect with." His name was Elias. And so I connected with Elias and we started doing business, and he loved that I could do marketing and sales. He loved that my personality. He was very quiet and very um
And didn't have incredible English. He was Syrian.
yep, Syrian. And so just started connecting with him on such a deep level and became really close. He was a singer, played and sang. And so anyways, we got to be really close. He was Uncle Elias. And he asked me if I would come and help him in a business, and he would cover all the costs and the office to the car to everything, and he would fund it because he knew we were going to build this from the ground up. And I accepted the offer, and we connected and became business partners, legal and everything, and started working together and building this company out. It was in merchant service world. And so anyways, about 6 months in to that relationship, right when we were about to have some major breakthrough multi-million-dollar deals we were closing and signing on, about to sign on, I get escorted. We were actually working with a corporation, a billion-dollar corporation at the time, and I get escorts off the property, has to leave the corporation where we are working with them and helping them develop their marketing sales. And I was like, what in the world is going on? They're like, well, we can't tell you what's going on, but you need to, that we have a signed affidavit that you need to leave and da da. Anyways, point is, affidavit. Point is, well, when it all came down to it, it was my brother Elias, who I consider him like a brother and uncle for our kids because we were so close, that had said I was, yeah,
Embezzling.
embezzling money and from our own business. Anyways, and then so within a matter of about a week, the car was stripped. The office, we're told we had to leave the office, and then I was taken off the bank account too. Had no access to the bank account all of a sudden. Suddenly, when all the dust settled, bottom line is it had to do with him getting these multi-million-dollar contracts signed and getting my name. They had convinced him to get my name off it, right? So it had to do with money. That's what it comes down to. So it was very dramatic. Like here's someone the day before I found this out. The day before I was at the beach with him with my arm around him, and just because I baptized this man in the ocean, we were connecting. I was like, bro, we got this. We were sitting on the beach, and I'm like, we're gonna do this. I know it's been tough because that was a long 6 months starting from ground zero with this company, but we had some incredible things about to break through, just like we're talking about now, right? Lots of breakthrough, and so it was very traumatic when I found out he had betrayed me and did this. And I even got an attorney at first, and the attorney's like, you know what, I'll take it on consignment. These guys have insurance, and this is a big billion-dollar company. He's like, we'll sue the company and your previous business partner, and da da da. And anyways, long story short, it was very, very traumatic. I mean, I was just wrecked, total betrayal, and just out of like, and then he was ghosting me. Wouldn't I went to his house, wouldn't take my calls. Just kind of give you a picture of what was happening. Completely would not. He just totally disconnected me. There was no way for me to connect with him at all. Even though I knew where he lived, had his phone number, he blocked me, did everything he could, and then avoided me, wouldn't answer the door. So, anyways, in the midst of that, we were cleaning out our office because we had to leave.
Yeah, so there was, I mean, with that kind of a betrayal, it was was like a punch in the face, a kick in the gut, and an identity that was attacked, right? So Carlos was a wreck. He was a hot mess. I mean, we all were, right? But it was very deep for him because of the relationship that he had with Elias. And so uh I knew that I had to do something. I had to do something to pull him out of the depression, the downward spiral that he was in. I had to give him some kind of purpose because everything was gone at that moment, right? You know, outside of the kids and I, it was like, who am I? Here my character has been challenged. And it was a really tough one.
So, little side note for our viewers that may be new, where would my wife get this wisdom? Well, before we got married, she actually, for over 11 years, worked with abused and neglected children, helped them go from trauma and triggers to triumph, and really made a difference in their lives. So she is an expert in helping people through trauma, traumatic situations, helping people face darkness and come out as winners. So the wisdom she had to bring these puppies, didn't tell me about it. All of a sudden, I'm working at the office trying to clean up and get these desks out of there. And we were moving. And still remember, it was like yesterday. And if we get cut off, by the way, our internet, because it's storming here all of a sudden, we have a tornado watch in our area. So if we take shelter in the middle,
listen, and there's severe wind and rain. So.
Yes. So, anyways, the room was empty, big office. It was our big conference area. And all of a sudden, this guy comes in and he puts these puppies down. There's like 4 or 5 of them. And they're just running around. I'm like, I look at Chantel, I'm like, what is this? What are you doing? And like I said, her wisdom, she's like, well, you need a project. You need something to focus on that's beneficial. And she's like, so I know you love dogs, and here, you need to train one of these dogs. Which one do you want? And I was like, of course, I had every excuse. Like, well, God doesn't know. She's like, nope. Which one? And it's so fascinating because I did feel pretty low during that time. I mean, my identity was totally rocked. My value was totally rocked. And so I immediately was attracted to the runt. Because literally I felt like a runt. I don't know if you felt that way in life when you go through stuff. And that runt was Kona. And so I had worked with some dogs and did some training. And so, yeah, she became my project. I remember we got a kennel for her, and I put my shirt in with her so she could get used to my scent. And she slept with my shirt after I wore it for the day. And then we kennel trained her, and then I would take her jogging. Later, I found out like she was a little young for that, but oh well. So, but she's pit bull, man. She'd go jogging with me, and we would jog a couple miles, and then trained her, fed her, and would work with her so she'd never have food aggression. Because that was another thing. Chantel's like, well, we have lots of people here that say pit bulls are aggressive. Well, we're gonna see for ourselves. That we did believe it was about the owners and the training, if they have proper training. And so sure enough, worked with Kona, and man, she became like a therapy dog, not just for people, but for other animals. Like, she was not aggressive towards dogs at all. Like, she had such an amazing spirit and sense about her.
We had dogs who would come, friends' dogs who were like super insecure, right? Dogs who had no confidence. And she would literally like crouch down and lay by them and like make them feel at peace.
Yeah.
Like, it was fascinating to watch her work. I mean, she was amazing.
She was not intimidated by big dogs either. She loved to play with dogs that were like Great Danes or big Mastiffs, or the bigger the better, man. She loved playing with them. And she was, again, very therapeutic. And that's what I was going to say. She was a constant. Hazel can't remember her not being there, because when Hazel was about 5 or 4, probably when Kona showed up, and that whole situation. And by the way, we chose not to do anything with an attorney. We chose to just focus, buckle down, and use the skills that we talk about business that I had learned.
We
And matter
chose
of
to
fact,
release.
that's right, release and receive the better. And within 5 months, we had six figures in what we called the widow's handyman business. Developed that in 5 months to making six figures.
So hold on. This story is really powerful, and there's so many layers to it, right? But here, we had gotten Kona, we had moved everything out of the office. Next Sunday at church,
oh yeah,
we're there, and this was our church family, right? So we had shared, a little bit about what we were dealing with, asking for prayers, and there was also a widow who shared a need, right? She says, well, my main water line went out, and I had a friend sow $1,000 of seed money, but the estimates I'm getting is like, 3,500 or something like that. And so she shared that, and well, later on, Carlos says to her, well, I suddenly have some time on my
yep,
hands, Ruth. I don't have a vehicle. You'd have to pick us up, but me and Mateo and our buddy, we'd be willing to, I have a construction background. I don't have tools, but I can wrangle whatever I need to do. We can rent it or whatever. We can use the seed money that you have for the materials, and I'd be happy to fix your main water line. And so that decision that we made in the office to release the Elias scenario,
yep,
release, just completely release it and not go down a route of legal battle. We just chose to, we recognize that in our journey of personal growth and development,
yep,
that we had created a toolbox, right? We
that's right,
created a toolbox of skills that the two of us together, whatever we did, we can create something.
that's right,
And we didn't know what it was going to be at that point. But what happened was Carlos did fix the main water line.
yeah,
Turns out the was, I talked it over with my wife. We prayed about it, and we'll sell it to you for $20.
that's right,
So he came over, brings the truck keys, leaves the $20 on the table. Carlos goes to take him home, gets in the truck, and it just so happens that as a family, we were saying the Lord's Prayer for the last 30 days, right?
yes,
In the midst of all of this that's been happening. Goes to take the gentleman home in the truck, and there's a bookmark with the Lord's Prayer on it, which was like, Carlos was like, what is this? And the guy said, oh, I was just cleaning out the glove box, and I found it. Just a little kiss from God, right?
that's
Here,
right,
this is this, I've got you.
that's right. Confirmation that it wasn't about us. Yeah,
So we had a vehicle.
had a truck now.
It had a little testimony of this truck that we were blessed with, right? And go back to the back table, get my coffee. And I had a gal from the worship team come to me and say, well, that's great that he got a truck. What's mama driving? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just so grateful, you know? She's like, I know you are. She said, but I have this little car. I just put new tires on it. I want to give it to you. So 2 weeks, 1 week after releasing the trauma, releasing the betrayal, releasing the bitterness. I mean, it was a process for me, for sure. But we were blessed with 2 vehicles with no car payment.
And Kona.
And Kona.
And then about a week later, we did a job for a widow, another widow, because the one widow introduced us to another widow. We donated time. And after we donated that time, she says, here, I've got this garage full of stuff. We opened up that garage. It was full of tools to start our handyman business, the widow's handyman. She goes, and by the way, you're my handyman. You're the widow's handyman. And I was like, I am. And from there, we did work for celebrities. And ultimately, let me just tell you, that's the business that then we ended up started doing work for tech. And so, and by the way, that white car that Mama was the car that I drove all through those Tesla projects. We gave the truck away in the end to an orphanage. The truck that was given to us
in Mexico.
We forwarded it and gave it. We paid it forward and gave it to the orphanage in Mexico. It's still running. They still got it. The white car that I used all through the Tesla projects. We gave that away to a friend. And so again, we just always are looking for ways to pay it forward and give and bless others. But now back to Kona. So here's Kona that came into our life during that time and really brought hope and blessed us and gave us purpose. And then through all that, even she was in California with us, started that widow's handyman business, serving and blessing others. A lot of the widows got to know her and meet her too.
That same widow that we fixed the main water line was the first pool that she ever swam in.
Yeah, Kona. And so lots of stories, constant 10 years, people in our homes, even I'm super grateful for Kane and Layla. And yeah, they came and stayed with us and brought their dog Yabo. And
yes, and Layla, that truck is still running. We just saw it.
Yeah. When we were there for Christmas.
We were there for Christmas.
Yeah. So it was named Baby Jesus back in the day. Hazel named it Baby Jesus and wrote it on the back of the window. So just story after story where Kona's involved. So what I realized is it doesn't matter if it's an animal, a person, or even a stuffed toy. You think about your little blanket or stuffed toy when you're little, it's always there. It's that constant. And Kona was that constant. People are in and out of our lives and stayed with us, like I said, and animals and other things. But Kona has been there for 10 years and brought us through that very, very traumatic time. So then it's like, okay, now we have to release Kona and allow her. And in true compost style, if you would, or epic your life style, create an extraordinary. She was an extraordinary dog. She never acted like she was in pain or hurting or dying because it was a tumor on her spleen that burst, and she bled out.
Yeah. So they discovered several small tumors in her abdomen and on her organs, and a tiny tumor on her spleen is what burst and bled her out.
Yeah. So the point is, though, she to the very end, she was still loving. There's so many stories of people that experienced Kona, and even when we would have people at our house, she would love on them too. And Mom and Dad fell in love with her. Dad was very grieved. But we would have like sessions where we would pray for people. We've got several pictures, and anytime we'd be praying for someone, Kona would be right in the middle with us. Always. I would always find it very strange, like, check this out. Like she knew. As we do that, we anoint people with oil and pray for them and love on them. And she would want to be a part of that every time. So lots of good memories. So I realized the quality time we had with Kona, the routines and the habits you have with someone or with something or an animal, it's what brings the bond. And she was always there. We'd go on trips. She always knew when we were going on trips, man. She knew when we were packing those suitcases. You could see her head go down, her little tail. She's like, ah. Sometimes she would go with us.
She
Uh,
has been to the orphanage in Mexico.
yeah.
She's come across the country, road trips,
Yep.
different times, Tennessee, Arizona.
Yep. So she's been through a lot with us. So now it's like, now what? You gotta go on, you gotta release. And I would challenge each and every one of you when you go through a hard time, traumatic. Um, Trauma is not easy, but if it can accelerate a process of something, we release and then we allow it to accelerate, allow it to cause us to move forward at an accelerated rate, because now we have something new to do it for, right? It's like in memory of my girl Kona. I will create extraordinary because she was an extraordinary dog. And the life she lived was a great example, man. She loved us so much and she always wanted to please us and work hard for us. So, in memory of her, we've got the tree out there, the magnolia tree, but also so many lives throughout the years. And so, if Colin can do it, in spite of her sickness, in spite of the tumors, and I can do hard things too.
Hmm.
So, it can become fuel. It can, in memory of her. She's an extraordinary. We will create extraordinary. So we love you. Mindset is key. And yeah, you can have dark times. Yeah, you can have days where you just curl up in a ball when you
And
go
it's
through
okay.
trauma. Yep, totally.
I think it's important to recognize and, you know, we're doing our best to be that example for our kids even, right? Grief is part of life. There's circle of life. We loss is real, you know, and we grieve we grieve our old story, even though it's not a great one. It's for some reason comfortable, right? But there's a feeling of loss. There's a feeling of grief when we move into a new story. So do we want to stay stuck in that old story? Do I want to stay stuck in my grief, or do I want to stay stuck in a world that is without the loss of Kona? Part of me does, right? But what is beneficial? What is healthy, right? Just to recognize that the grief is real and our feelings are valid, and we can move forward and create a new story. As hard as it is right now, we will move forward and create a life without Kona.
Yes. So through this, we want to learn, and I want to give you a life lesson through this too. Do you have relationships that you really care about? Create the constant with them. When we talk about calendars and designing our lives, I know there's some people you really love and you appreciate in your life and you want to be close to. The key to being close to someone just like Kona is create a constant. What are your routines with that person? What's your standing appointment? When I say create a constant, I'm challenging you to create a standing appointment with that person. It could be once a month, it could be once a year, but create it, because your level of connection and constant communication with them and constant connection will enhance and grow that relationship. Kona's a great example of that. She she did a lot for us in our life. Why that thing does that thumbs up. But she and it was because of that time with her and the constant. For all of our routines as a family, she would be there. For our meals, she would be there. For our gatherings at our home, she would be there. Friends and family events, birthdays, she would be there. And so now get to get an opportunity to see what else we can create for constants. We have new constants in our life, connections and relationships with some of you even, and we appreciate that. They're really, really good. But just know that if you want to enhance and develop a relationship, make sure you have a standing appointment with them. The closer you are to them, the more appointments you're going to have with them. My wife, we have a very minimum of one appointment a week together, very minimum, our date night. But obviously, we have more. We have a daily routine and some dinner routines. So there's a lot of constant there too, as well. But just want to challenge you with that because I think it's practical to think about things on a practical level and how to improve relationships is create that standing appointment. Anything else?
Mm-mm.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Carlos and Chantel Campos, Epic Your Life. If you want some more, see some more content of ours and more things about relationships and marriage mastery, go over to epicyourlifeatschool.com and join our group. We'd love to see you there. Love to have you be a part of our community. Have a great day.